Hey guys, it's Danny. Today, again, we need to save some very expensive plants, which I think we're on the right track. Now, a while ago, depending when I'm gonna upload this video, you might have seen me save a Philodendron melanochrysum. Well, I did the same boo-boo with these guys. They kind of died off. They remained leafless, at least in the case of the Philodendron Florida Ghost, which is this one right here. It got completely dried up, lost all of its leaves, and this is what's left of it. And next to it, surprise, surprise, we have a Philodendron gloriosum stump. This is a pretty expensive plant when you purchase it like a plant with leaves and stems and everything. What I have here is a stump. Luckily, I managed to save it. Anyway, so we're gonna start the process here, but I'm gonna tell you what I did so far. Before we start, don't forget to give this video a like if you end up enjoying it, and hey, why not subscribe? I post all sorts of plant content. All right, so let me explain to you what I did here. So what this container is just a food container that closes and actually seals. It is a transparent or translucent container, so light can actually penetrate. Not a whole lot of it, you can imagine, but enough for the plants to photosynthesize a little bit once they get a little bit of foliage. I'm not sure if a dark or opaque container would do as great, so yeah, I would stick to transparent containers if you're ever in this situation, which I hope you're not, but these are plants, stuff happens. Then inside I have a bed of only cocoa peat. It is the Odla cocoa peat that I got from IKEA. I have a ton of it, so I'm kind of just using it up. I didn't even put bark, unlike with the philodendron, and again, it doesn't matter. What I want is a cushiony, let's say medium, for the stems to lie on, something that is not water, which might suffocate and eventually rot the stems, but something that can be pretty damp. This medium can be anything you like, pretty much anything you have around. It can even be soil, although soils do have quite a lot of fertilizer from the get-go, and that's not really what you want because you might have a sort of algae attack at some point, which I don't think is so good for the low roots. So sphagnum moss, cocoa peat, bark, leca, perlite, zeolite, whatever you have at hand, really, something that can be airy, it's not just plain water, but also can be moist at the same time and offer a good medium for the roots to just creep in. I think you know what I'm saying. So yeah, mind you, at the beginning, due to the very high humidity conditions, you might have some mold outbreaks. As everything settles in and ages a little bit, it will go away. I currently have no mold, but my stem, especially this one, I have just the tiniest dot still left. This little stump was covered in white fuzzy mold at some point. It's fine. It will go away. It's not really going to affect anything. Right. So this is the setup. And I had these little stumps in here for about a month and a half, maybe a couple of months or so at most. And as you could see in the meantime, they did root. It is now time to pot them separately and start them off on the journey to becoming, again, full luscious plants. Right. So I need a tray, need gloves, be right back. Alright, so let's start with the philodendron because he's the most advanced. And guess what medium I'm going to be using? Yes, the cocoa peat and bark mixture, because I already have it made. With these type of plants, even if they're not like orchids, it is still important to offer a pretty light medium. So very heavy clay type soils are not ideal. People make all sorts of mixtures and recipes. They're all okay if they work out for you. I prefer to keep things simple. What I want is the water retention medium, which in my case is the cocoa peat, and also the aerator, which again is the chunky bark that I use. That's pretty much all you need for a philodendron. So the choice of materials obviously is yours. You need something to hold water, you need something to provide aeration. And from here on, whatever you have available, whatever you like best, will work just fine. So I'm just gonna place medium around the plant, making sure that all of these roots are actually inside the potting mix because they're adjusted to very high humidity. If you keep them in the air, they're just not gonna make it. All right, and we are pretty much done. I was at some point considering to shorten the stem, but I'm not gonna do so. The stem will be just fine in here because the medium is very, very ventilated. And the more stem, the more roots, which is what I want. So what I will do now is water this very well, and we have two options. I'm gonna show you what these options are. All right, before everything, I forgot to add something. I can't believe I forgot it. I forgot to add slow release fertilizer. So let me show you how to add if you're already done with your repotting. You don't need to remove the medium, you just need a tweezers, and obviously you can use a smaller one. I just don't find my small one, so I'm just gonna take this aquascaping tweezers. And I wanna add about 4 beads or 5, and I'm just going to insert them in the medium like so. I insert them about 1 inch or 2 or 3 centimeters in depth. There we go, problem solved. Because this plant has spent its life in a very high humidity chamber, if we put it in our ambiental humidity, there is a very, very high chance the leaves will just dry up and fizzle out pretty much, because it's not used to the very low humidity in our homes. Even if you have 50 or 60% humidity, it's still a little bit too low. It's coming from 100% humidity. So what we can do is arrange a glass cloche of sorts or another type of tall container. If you have one of those decorative greenhouses, glass greenhouses, that can work as well. And I would keep it like this, again, for another few weeks, time in which I would start by placing the glass globe on top just like this, and after a few days putting a stopper or something to raise it slowly each day, a little more, and this is how we reduce humidity gradually so that we don't actually shock the plant. Because trust me, it will be shocked and you might lose all of the effort you put into it. So if you don't have a humidifier or a little greenhouse of sorts or a little grow tent or whatever, you can absolutely do this. There are some taller cloches on the market. I don't know why I brought this one. Hold on. There you go. This plant will grow pretty tall pretty fast. You can use something like this. Or if you already have a humidity chamber, one of those IKEA greenhouse cabinets or whatever you have at your disposal, I have one there. We can put it directly there, which is what I will do because my Florida Ghost already has leaves. I don't need to baby it as much as the gloriosum stump. That one, oh boy. Yeah, I need to baby it a little more. So let's go to my rootstock cabinet and I'll show you how it looks like. All right, here we are. So in this cabinet, I like to keep about 70% humidity, maybe a little more. But if I place if I place the plant directly on the humidifier like so, I will have even more because that fog will hit it directly, and that's okay. It's exactly what it needs. And here it will stay just fine until it grows up a little bit more, and afterwards I can take it out and get it adjusted to even lower humidity. So this is the second thing you can do if you have one of these cabinets, but the cloches work just fine as well. All right, time for the gloriosum. For him, I'm gonna be using this transparent pot just because I don't have any more opaque pots, but it's absolutely fine. I think it's gonna be a little fun to watch those little roots start to grow. You can actually use whatever type of pot you can think of for all of these plants, orchids, philodendrons, everything, whatever you like best. And if you like to see the roots developing, hey, why not? Get yourself some of these orchid pots. All right, let's see what we have here. Gentle with the roots, and look at that. How pretty is that? Now, this plant has a creeping tendency in the sense that it doesn't have a stem that climbs like the Florida Ghost. It actually creeps, a little like cattleyas. If most of you guys watching right now are orchid owners, it grows just like cattleyas. A lot bigger though. It's gonna be fun to have a ginormous plant in my plant room that I started from little stump, right? That's the plan. So I will be using the exact same materials, and this time I will not forget about the fertilizer. So I will be placing the stump like so on top of the medium, just like an orchid. I want to maintain the roots inside because they will dry out in the air, absolutely. But I do want to maintain the foliage part outside. And the rest of the rhizome just on the side of the pot. This guy, again, just like a cattleya, has a direction of growth. So I want to place the direction in the middle of the pot and the whole side of the stump at the edge of the pot. So just filling the pot now, and there we have it. Did I just forget to put fertilizer? I did. You'd think after 1 year I would get used to putting fertilizer in the pots, but no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm using Osmocote Pro High K. I will have the products that I used and that I generally use in my videos linked in the description, given they will kind of vary depending on the year. So if you visit older videos, you might see other things that I've used in the past. Maybe I found alternatives, maybe those things are not available to me anymore. So depending on the video and when you're watching, I might be using other things. People still ask me what brand of leca I still use, and I haven't used leca in 2.5 years. So that's why it's not mentioned in the description anymore. So do pay attention at the upload date, because sometimes some videos are very, very old. Like on my 8-year-old videos, I still get comments asking me or telling me that I did this and I shouldn't have done that, why did I did that, and so on. Anyway, so we're done. Again, I'm gonna give it a good watering, and I'll be back with final thoughts. And we're done for now. For this one, I will be using the cloche. I still wanna give it as high humidity as possible, 100% if I can, because it's not leafed out just yet. And actually high humidity when it comes to propagating stem plants and helping them grow faster is really important. So for now, I'm not gonna place this guy in the rootstock cabinet. I will keep him on the shelves under the glass cloche until I have a little bit more foliage here, and then it will go the same route as the melanochrysum and the Florida ghost. It's gonna be in the greenhouse until, again, I can harden off the plant outside in my ambiental humidity, which will be later on, much later on. So yeah, I will pick this up when I have more foliage and more updates to give you and show you how the plants have done. For you, it's just gonna be a second. For me, it might be a few weeks. And it's been 3 months or a little more. I got a tattoo in the meantime. Just notice on the footage, I didn't have it and it looked weird. Thinking of getting another one here, maybe a plant-related one. I don't know. I want to be extra careful because that can get real cheesy real fast. Anyway, I digress. Here we are. Look at my little gloriosum. How pretty is he? Well, we had some issues with a few pests in the past right here, but I treated it. Look at him. He is looking glorious, isn't he? He's looking good. He doesn't have pests anymore and he is protected. But for a little second there, yeah, he got me worried a little bit, but he's okay now. However, the more interesting of the two, I have to say, is the Florida ghost. You might read it in the title. It doesn't want to grow green leaves. Look at him. He looks very, very bad. It's not looking all that glorious, is it? It's not photosynthesizing properly. It has this leaf and whatever's left of this one, a little bit green. Now, because I know already what you're going to say, no, I don't keep it in strong light. I was actually keeping it under artificial light, and for the past maybe 2 months, when I caught on that, hey, something's up, I'm keeping him in quite a shady location right on top of my shelves. He's not under artificial light, gets some natural light, but nothing direct. It's the shadiest thing in the grow space, and it's just not growing green leaves, you guys. It has issues. So I kind of researched a little bit this phenomenon. Everybody wants white leaves. Everybody has too many green leaves. Well, I have too many white leaves. I did find one single reference that I don't remember where I saw. Somebody was saying that their Florida ghost, whenever it produces too many white leaves, they kind of tend to just die off. If there aren't enough green leaves, most of these white leaves just don't last, which I think will be the fate of mine. I do see that this new, very distorted leaf has a little bit more green. Fingers crossed is gonna have more chlorophyll pigment, but oh boy, I think this guy is very flawed. Because variegation, generally speaking, in plants is most often than not a competitive evolutionary trait. It is a mutation that typically dies off in nature, because if a plant doesn't photosynthesize enough, it doesn't grow fast, it might get outcompeted by other plants which do have proper photosynthesis, faster growth, and so on. This is purely for our enjoyment. We have selected these mutations because we like them. They're beautiful. They don't really help the plant. So when we have such a selected plant, it is reasonable to think that sometimes it's gonna glitch out. Sometimes we cannot really control everything. It's not really as easy as, oh, give it more light or less light. We have created a monster, pretty much. So yeah, it's unpredictable, but I find it interesting. I'll keep you up to date. I'm hoping it will start to produce green leaves. What I'm gonna try to do is add a more nitrogen-rich soil. I'm gonna unpot it and just make a combination of my all-purpose potting soil, which is rich in nitrogen. Hopefully that will stimulate a little bit the chlorophyll production. Will it? I don't know. I'm going off of intuition here. We're gonna see. But right now, he's not looking well because he's not photosynthesizing and he's sitting in the shade. So there you go. We're gonna see about it, but that's about it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this little series of videos. And yeah, when it comes to the gloriosum, who would have thought out of that little tiny stump, you can actually sprout a brand new plant. If this ever happens to you with any type of philodendron, I would say that you should hang on to that little stump, put it in a high humidity chamber. It might actually sprout and it might do very well. Righty. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram or Facebook, just search for me. I am at MissOrchidGirl. But more importantly, subscribe to my YouTube channel for very, very frequent plant videos. Alrighty. So that's it. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.